Yo, what's up, bros? Man, that's so fucking corny. Yeesh. Damn. Are we cool for the summer, bro? Are we cool for the summer, motherfucker? I'm excited to be here. Jesus, what a cable mess, brother. So today I actually want to talk about, I figured out a topic I'd like to speak to you guys about, and the topic is about glowing up and, you know, sort of the pain or hardships about glowing up, which sounds ironic because glowing up is sick. Objectively, it is. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm glad I grew up. It's not that, but I think that from an outside perspective, or you may think it's all sunshine and rainbows, and you just like wake up one day and suddenly you look way better, or you start taking care of your appearance, and then everything's fine, bro. Now you look good. But really, there's a lot of like psychological and a lot of shit that goes into it that maybe you don't know about, or maybe that you can relate to. But today I want to share my experience of that. So I grew up not very attractive. Didn't really care about my appearance, to be honest. But also, was very overweight. Clothing style, haircut, glasses, literally everything, bro. I was not a pretty fella when I was younger. And now I think I look a hell of a lot better. And the thing is that, obviously I wasn't very successful with girls or got a lot of attention or whatever, which, by the way, makes so much sense. Like, I am not at all trying to make this like a sob story about me, because I didn't look good, bro. So, naturally, not a lot of people are going to be attracted to me. It's not something that I'm inherently deserve or should be guaranteed, like some insults, kind of sometimes reason. You deserve to be, but that's the thing too. Like, do you even deserve to be loved? Like, is it something that you inherently deserve? I don't know, bro. I think it's something that is earned. I mean, everybody deserves the feeling of feeling loved, but it's not something that without any work or characteristics or quality should just be handed out to everybody. No, like, being loved is something that you earn, I guess, in a sense. Side rant there. Anyways, so, not a lot of female attention, that stuff. And I remember actually some shit sticks to me. Like, obviously I had little crushes or whatever, like motherfuckers do. And I remember, like, girls, like, they made fun of me. Like, there was this one girl or this one thing I remember so vividly where they were just like teasing me or taking the piss, which obviously that's not fucking cool. Yeah, those kind of experiences sit with me. Anyways, so when you go from not being attractive to then becoming more attractive, glowing up, at least for me, there was this issue that psychologically or in my head I was still not attractive, So obviously our mind or perception isn't something that can change or adapt necessarily always as quickly as our physical appearance. So even when I started to become maybe attractive or a bit more attractive, I didn't feel like it one bit. Like, in my head I was still like really ugly, unattractive. And this had its issues, it had its problem, and fuck, man, it took a long while. So I'd say, like, maybe when I was like 19 years old is when I slowly started to lock in my appearance, lost a solid amount of weight, started to care a bit more about my looks, my hair, glasses, that kind of thing. And quite quickly you could also see the result of that, more female attention or people flirting with you or just being nicer. The halo effect is very real. If you don't know what the halo effect is, some crazy shit. All right, let's dive into the halo effect. So it's basically a person that is attractive is much more likely to be benefited or favored in pretty much any way. So if you look good, if you're attractive, people will assume that you are smarter. They will assume that you are kinder, nicer, literally any positive quality you could have. And it's not made up. You can Google it yourselves. And I think now with internet personalities or whatever, like Clav, I think it started to become a bit more mainstream or noticed. But I'm telling you, it's very real. As someone that has been overweight and quite honestly, objectively ugly, I can tell you it's night and day to how you're treated, how you're perceived, what people do for you. It's just something that you have to experience for yourself if you are to truly understand it. But I'm talking, people will give you better service, that will be nicer to you, they will literally anything, bro. And obviously also the attention from girls, I mean, that speaks for itself. But if I try to come back to the subject, then is that when I started to become a bit more attractive, you know, in my head I was still not attractive. I was still this ugly, overweight kid, you know, which gave me a lot of confidence issues. So like, if a girl was flirting with me, I didn't really see it as flirting, or I couldn't like imagine that she would actually flirt with me. So in my head, when a girl flirted with me or was interested in me, I thought then that I'm back in middle school and this girl is taking the piss by acting to be interested in me, like joking, you know. And that took a very, very, very long time to get past and like actually being comfortable or okay with the idea that, yeah, I look good. You know, girls can be interested in my parents or think I look good. That took a very, very long time for me to get there. And it caused a lot of issues for me. Mainly and obviously the whole confidence aspect, but also, you know, there was so many missed opportunities, I guess, because of that. You know, once again, maybe I was a bit scared to persuade a girl that was interested, because I was, in my head I was like, nah, I'm not all that, you know. I said, hopefully, I'm not a lazy piece of shit when I'm doing this video and editing, and I'm actually throwing in some reference pictures so you can see kind of what I mean. But I said I started to start to glow up a bit when I was 19. But back then I was still pretty shocked. Like, it's just like, yeah, there's a big improvement, buddy, but you're still not all that. And at that time, I remember I was on Tinder. And let me tell you, that shit was drier than Sahara. Like, very, very, very few matches. And the ones I got were not the prettiest or the most attractive, which once again makes so much sense because I wasn't attracted by myself. And this is something that, unfortunately, I think some people tend to forget. And if I'm being completely honest, I think it's more common from like a looks perspective in girls. Like, there's a bunch of girls that necessarily aren't all that, but they think they deserve or, you know, are on par with a very attractive guy and are in the same league as them, which is, by the way, our fault because we keep hyping these women up so much and competing for them, and being so desperate. So yes, it's, you know, mostly on the girl end where that issue prevails, but it's probably caused by us guys. So lock in, guys, don't simp for women all the time. And hopefully I don't come across as like a Sigma Alpha Shad corny thingy. It's not that. It's just that don't praise these women and act like a jester, I guess, for no reason. Because it just makes this problem worse, that people think they are out of their league. But on the other end, from the male perspective, I think there are a lot of males that want girls with special qualities or characteristics, where they simply do not possess the qualities or the character themselves to be in the same league as these kind of women. So an example, you know, a guy says that he wants a stay-at-home wife, and you know, she should cook for him, clean, whatever, bro, all these things. And who is the man in question? Well, he doesn't look necessarily good. He looks average, doesn't have a great paying job, like an average paid job. That was close. He isn't necessarily smart or gifted or possess any special abilities. He doesn't have like a crazy work ethic or dreams or ambitions. You get the picture. So why then would a girl with all these, you know, sick qualities you're looking for pick you, bro? Like, women already have so much choice, and you think she's gonna pick you, bro? So that's the guy end of the spectrum in that problem, I think. But so when I was Tinder, I was 19. I was getting absolutely destroyed, you know, wasn't having a good time. And then when me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, you know, I went on a bit of dating apps, Hinge, Tinder, and all that shit. And holy fuck, bro! Like, what a difference! What a night and day. I'm 24 now, so I've had a couple of years of glowing up, I guess. And let me tell you, it's just night and day. You know, I can get quality. What's going on here? I'm just falling through the shit. Excuse me? But it's just night and day. Like, I can get so many quality matches, like good looking woman. I was gonna say in excess, that sounds like so douchey. Not in excess, but I get a good amount of matches. Just absolute 180 from when I was 19. And you have to remember too, like, to give myself some credit, like, I live in Sweden, like, you've heard about Swedish girls, so it's a tough, competitive market there. So it's a very big difference. But yeah, honestly, still to this day, like, logically based on the experiences, for example, on the dating apps and even interactions and, you know, what people told me over the years, like, I think that I'm, you know, good looking. You know, I'm not necessarily like a model or like anything like that, but I think I look good at least. But still in my head, there's, you know, this older, younger kid, you know, who was not it, in the back of my head kind of thingy. And yeah, it takes a while to get rid of that perception or that perspective, I guess. Naturally, we could increase this conversation to dating in your 20s. Fuck, bro. What a mess, bro. It's a complete mess. It's so unfortunate because, you know, Gen Z or now, it looks very different compared to how it used to look. Like, back in the day, people primarily met through real, actual life and social interactions. Obviously, I mean, there was no alternative really. But now, with these dating apps, and it's like, well, obviously, if we look at Tinder, it's like you have your little shitty ass profile where nobody gives a shit about what you actually do right there. Me neither, man. Like, not saying that I'm not part of the problem. But you have this little shitty bio, which nobody cares about, and then there's a bunch of pictures, and you, based on the pictures, like, really quickly, you swipe left or right, you know. It goes so quickly, and the whole personality aspect, or... Because the thing is, like, looks are important. Definitely are. Looks draw you in and attract you. But if we're talking about like a successful long-term relationship, then it comes down to the personality, bro. That's what's gonna make you stay and have a successful relationship for a long time. So the looks aren't the most important thing. It's the most important thing for initiating or being given the option to even show your personality, I guess. But these apps where you just like, fuck me, bro. And everybody's so boring too. Like, you try to hold a an actual conversation there, and it's just, I can play Rooftop Run now. Oh my god, yes, let's do it. Like, trying to have an actual conversation there is so, like, fucked, bro. Like, yeah, it ain't happening. And I've spoken about Tinder now, which is like, well, it's mostly for hookups, I guess, so it makes sense about the conversation aspect. But even if you look on apps that are like way better, like Hinge, for example, there your personality is actually much more highlighted. The app doesn't reward a such fast-paced climate in the same way, you know? It's not just like you get someone and you swipe yes, no. You know, you can add more pictures, you can add videos, and the concept is much more to actually find and build a relation with somebody, I guess. So Hinge is much better, but even there, like, yeah, like some of these profiles, it's just like, honestly, it feels like there's a template of some different people. I'm talking about girls now, by the way, because I'm talking about girls now because, well, you know, I'm a straight male, so I can't offer any other perspective. I'm sure these problems are probably very real and prevalent on the female side too, but you're looking at some of these girls and it's like, almost sometimes, bro, feels like there's 5 different templates of the girls, you know? They all say the same shit in their bios, and yeah, and even if you like do get a interesting match, like a lot of the times the conversations there just aren't very natural. Like, it's unbeatable to see somebody in person, get to know them, and then start a relation, you know, if everything goes well. But it's kind of like, maybe you guys heard about like this third place thing before. So in the past, there were more third places. So obviously you had where you lived, your home, and you had your work or school, and there was the third place. I don't know, bro, could be like a hangout place, like a cafe or something, could be literally anything. Where you could hang out with your friends or get to know people. But third places aren't as common as they were before. Obviously take this with a grain of salt because, you know, this necessarily wasn't during my time. But it's like, okay, you want to get to know somebody. Like, let's say theoretically we are trying to find a partner through a real life interaction. Well, you know, obviously, okay, the school route is pretty solid. That's a good option. It's solid, but, you know, once you're out of school, or if you don't go to college or you're out of college, that option is gone. Then you have your work, which, talking from personal experience, don't do it. Nuh-uh. Not optimal. Very risky. High risk, high reward, I guess. But work can work sometimes, but it's, it's risky. I know all about it. Anyways. So there's work, and then you have, you know, you could obviously hang out with your friends on your free time and get to know some people through there. That's probably the most solid alternative I can think of. And then maybe there's like, well, if you go to the gym, or if you cold approach a girl on the street, or, you know, or if you have some kind of hobby or activity that you do, I guess that could work too. Like, say for example you do MMA and there's this interesting girl at MMA, you could talk to her, get to know her, I guess. Pretty solid too. But unless I'm missing something, feels like the good alternatives are out there. Because I'm telling you, you're not gonna find a good girl partying or going to the clubs or anything like that. It's rare. Well, I guess it's possible, but probably not very high success rate there. I don't think people go out partying necessarily to find the one of their lives. So, you know, there are solid options out there, but I think the problem is that we are more and more chronically online, which is becoming more apparent during Gen Z. I think it's for a lot of reasons. It's hard to say, like, geez, man, I'm not a scientist or anything, but, you know, one aspect is that doing stuff, going out, like doing activities, just hanging out outside of your home, it's so expensive. Like, everything is so expensive. And yeah, everything is so expensive, period, you know? It's like, well, you have your rent, and then like maybe you have a car, and then the groceries are expensive, maybe you got some loans, you know, streaming up your ass, eating up your dollars. So yeah, you don't have as much money maybe as people did in the past to spend on that thing. Pretty safe to say that that would actually be a quite valid reason, probably. Because yeah, just look at the comparisons of the average wage and the average cost for a home. Like, you just look at those charts and see how it actually used to be possible, you know, to save a bit of money and actually buy a house, and how it's just like pretty much not possible today. Which is why everyone is taking these ginormous loans, which, man, it's sad when you think about it like that. Real fucking sad. Like, being in debt is so normalized. And I guess it's kind of the name of the game. I guess you kind of have to be in debt in a lot of the things. You know, I'm in a student's debt. And even though, you know, I live in Sweden, so my education was free. I didn't spend a penny on the actual education. But, you know, working enough to sustain myself and actually being able to study, not half-assed at the same time, just wasn't an option. So I took some loans there. The fact that I managed to get like a bachelor's degree is just batshit crazy to me. Like, I hated school when I was younger. Absolutely fucking despised it, bro. And the thing too is, like, I think that I probably look for a more traditional kind of relationship than maybe most people in my generation. That's hard. And now when I'm like, well, not freshly, but, you know, out of a 4-year relationship quite recently, it just seems like, what a fucking hassle to begin that whole process again. It just seems grim, bro. It seems grim. But it's also like, what kind of choice do you have? Like, I want a family. I want some... Yeah. Honestly, not even sure what this video is gonna be about, bro. Just ranting about a bunch of shit. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end this video with ranting a bit of like the spirituality aspect, because I'm getting withdrawals. I can't have a video and not talking about spirituality. It's because, you know, one, I really like talking about it. And two, I almost feel like I have an obligation to talk about it. I feel like I have a lot of knowledge that can help a lot of people. And I feel like since people have the option to hear it and listen and either, you know, take it or don't take it, you know, I'm not forcing anybody. But I feel like giving people spitting some game is almost like an obligation I have at this point. Let's try to get an S rank on Cool Edge. Nah, okay, that's a bit ambitious, but A at least. Alright, so... Alright, time to spit some game about spirituality. So let me give you guys a story. Sit back, relax, enjoy. So, it's June 2025, last year, so last summer. I finally, well, not finally, fuck me, I could have been there for a bit more time if it was going to be as nice as it was looking back. Anyways, so I graduated, okay, 2025. So now I have to find a job. And I am stressing because, you know, not only am I going to have to do a big life adjustment or big life change, which is, you know, working instead of studying. So I have to find a job, you know, and get into those whole routines and that shit. No. I also break up with my girlfriend of 4 years. And we live together, so I have to find myself a new home. Yeah, it was a lot. Anyways, so I had a job at the summer. So I was kind of safe there. It was like an extra job that I had, working at the airport. So that was cool, you know. I got some money in during the summer. But then that job can't offer me enough to be sustained after the summer. So I needed to find a job quickly. So I, you know, filed as unemployed, I guess, for our social services in Sweden, which is a complete joke. But anyways, so during that like program, when you register as unemployed, they force you to search X amount of jobs per week, depending on, well, what job do you have and how many jobs are there out there and that stuff. So during this period, so I graduated as a dietitian, by the way. So I'm a registered or licensed dietitian. And, you know, I was dead set on working as a dietitian at this time. So I looked for dietitian jobs. But this counselor, I guess, through the social services unemployment thingy majig, she suggested that I should apply for a job as a health coach. And you know, obviously, I am a dietitian. Like, this is some prestigious, like, it's a registered title. Like, this is business. I'm a dietitian. I'm working as a dietitian. What's a health coach? What does that even mean? So, you know, obviously I wasn't too set on searching or working that job. But I decided to apply to the job. It was a long shot. So I did that, and the recruiter got back to me, and he was like, yeah, all right, you know, sounds good. When I'd like to have like a digital meeting with you. So could you do, I got an S rank. Yes! Yes! I got an S rank. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting that. Locked in. Anyways, so he was like, yeah, would you do a digital meeting? You know, does this time or this time work? And I was like, well, you know, I have to go to the meeting, you know. So I went to the interview, you know, didn't really have any expectations or anything like that. No expectations, went into it, and at the interview, I was really surprised. Like the man that was interviewing me or doing the recruiting, like he seemed like a really nice guy. The job seemed really interesting, very nice. And they had like a very holistic approach, which was something that I really, really like, because I think a lot of the times our healthcare is so squared or boxed in, even though there are things out there that could help a lot of people, but it's so frowned upon, and yeah, whatever. So they had like a very open and holistic perspective. So I was like, okay, shit, this sounded good. And he was like, yeah, all right, I'll get back to you, man. You know, he didn't say I was gonna get another interview or anything. He was just like, yeah, I'll get back to you, all right. And then he got back to me. and he wants me to come for like a physical interview and seeing the actual workplace and that stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, bro, let's do it. So I go there, you know, and wow, like the environment and the vibes I get and the people there just seem so nice, and I'm really interested. The pay is pretty good, you know, everything is fine and dandy. And talking to them, it sounds really good. I think I was there for that interview maybe 1.5 hours or almost 2 hours, which, yeah, good sign in retrospect. And after leaving the interview, you know, I was like, wow, I really want this job. I really want this job. Like, this is so sick. So I really hoped, and he said like, all right, I'll get back to you latest this time. Didn't get back to me for way later. And I was like, this doesn't sound good. But then, you know, he got back to me and he said, yeah, sorry it took so long. You know, we've been interviewing so many people, but we feel like you really are the right fit and we would really like to have you. And I was so happy, you know, so glad. And I think he had held 40 interviews for this job, by the way. Which, yo, that's like an ego boost, man. 1 versus 40, I clutched that bay. So I was stoked, and you know, I've been working that job since September last year, and I really like it. But, you know, let's rewind the story. Everything felt, you know, honestly kind of fucked and hopeless. And I didn't want this joke of a job. I wanted I wanted to work as a dietitian, you know, not this health coach thingy. What is that, bro? But look how it turned out. Everything found a way to resolve itself, and everything turned out pretty damn good. And that, you know, the fact that I have this job is by a complete accident or almost random. Like, I did not approach this job. I have no intentions of finding this job or any way. It was suggested to me. It was given. I was like, yeah, you know, I'll give it a go. And I don't think that is luck. I don't think that is chance. I don't think it's random. To be completely honest, I don't think there is a thing such as luck. I think it's the name for a law unknown. And that's sort of what I'm trying to bring about here. And to end this video, I'll give you another story. Ironically, it's very similar. It's very similar. So the year is 2022. So, long story short, when I was 16 years old, I had a stress-induced psychosis. I was at the first semester, first year of high school when this happened. I got my psychosis, my life got fucked, turned upside down, you know, fell out with my friends, gained a bunch of weight, just felt like absolute shit. I actually dropped out of high school too. So that's what I was getting at here. So I dropped out of high school. So this was 2018. Right before the summer, I dropped out of high school. Then, August 2019, I decided to pick up a 3-year education that basically gives you like the high school equivalent education. So 2019 to 2022, I'm basically going for high school. Let's just say that. And then I'm approaching, so yes, once again, it's 2022 and I'm approaching the end. I'm almost finished with my studies. So once again, I'm at a crossroads, okay? What do I do after high school? Do I work? Do I study? You know? And back then I was together with my ex-girlfriend, and her mother is quite spiritual. At this time I really wasn't, by the way. At this time I wasn't, and I wasn't too open to it either. But I'm not a very closed off person or close-minded, actually. I've been quite open in general to hear people out. That doesn't necessarily mean I buy everything, but it's like if you can put me on something or argue your case for something, I'll be waiting to hear you out and listen. So ex-mother is very spiritual. Okay. So around this time where I'm pondering, what the fuck do I do with my life? You know, I'm 20 years old and I'm like, well, okay, do I try to find a job, work something, or do I study? And I have no idea what to do, and I'm pondering on it so much. And you know, at this time I've had some years of experience in the gym, and I really enjoy that stuff. You know, getting progress, getting stronger, all of that stuff. Very interested in it, and I had started to pick up an interest in health, in diet, in optimizing for results, well-being, just health. So I was a bit, and the actual part about like nutrition really interested me. You know, it can make such a huge difference. It can, how we eat impacts how we feel every day in our lives. It also can impact diseases, you know, whatever. I was interested in that, so I was like, maybe I'll study for a dietitian. But I was very uncertain, and I started to see this number everywhere I went. 444. Okay. So I'm talking, you know, I'd open my phone and it was 1444 because we have 24-hour clock or military time here in Sweden, Europe. So I'd open my phone and so many of the times it's be 1444. I take the tram and the tram number is 444. I order something and it's order 444. I even saw a graffiti at a tram spot close to where I've lived all my life, and I had never seen this graffiti before, but somebody had graffitied 444. Do you get the picture? Like, it was just obscene. I was seeing this number everywhere, you know, it was following me. It was so strange. So, you know, after a while of being terrorized and followed by this number, I built up the courage to swallow my pride, and I talked to my girlfriend's mom and I said, listen to me here, lady. I'm seeing this number wherever I go, okay? It's 444. And I had Googled a bit about like the meaning, like angel numbers or numerology, but it didn't really seem too fitting for me at the time. So I asked her, and she said, okay, I'll ponder on it. Let me get back to you. And she did. And then she told me, it means that you're seeing this number, or the implication or what it means or why you're seeing this is because you, hard to properly translate it in English. In Swedish we would say velar, which basically means that you go back and forth and you're unsure, insecure, kind of that vibe. So she said, like, you're way too uncertain. You need to make a decision and go with it. Take the leap of faith. And I was like, okay, thank you, ex-mother. And I took it to heart and I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll study. I'll become a dietitian. And I had multiple reasons, whatever. Don't have to go into them. So I decided to commit to that. And I only applied for one single education. It was the dietitian's program in Gothenburg. Okay? Let me tell you guys, that is brain dead to do. Nobody does that. Ask literally anyone. Maybe in general, but at least in Sweden, okay? So ask anyone if they're applying for stuff. Nobody is searching for one option. Nobody. So either you search for different programs or you search for the program in different cities in case you do not get in. So for example, the dietitian's program in Sweden, it's in Gothenburg, where I live, in Malmö, and in Umeå. Okay, so there's 3 different places. But I only applied for the one in Gothenburg, okay, which makes no sense. But I decided, I committed. And won't you know it, once I actually took the decision, I was like, yep, all right, this is my plan. This is what I'll do. And if I don't get in, I'll just have to find a way. Won't you know then that she's right? The numbers just disappear. I'm no longer plagued, haunted, and followed by the number 444 anymore. You know, maybe you think I'm crazy, maybe you think it sounds absurd, maybe you think it's just a coincidence, maybe you think it's random, but I'm telling you, that was so weird. That was so strange. And it was so obvious too. Night and day difference. And yeah, you know the rest of the story. I got in to my education. I finished it. And I think everything turned out pretty okay, you know. I'm not always happy. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes everything feels unbearable, but everything turned out pretty okay. And I've learned a lot, okay? So that's once again a moment of being guided, or where coincidence or luck or chance takes you on the right path and what you were meant to do. Yeah. So I guess final notes: be open to seeing the signs in your life, you know, be open to that sometimes maybe you are being guided, you're trying to, or something is attempting to guide you, and maybe take some clarity or peace or comfort in the fact that even if you don't necessarily have any idea how things are gonna go, or what you're gonna do, or how problems are gonna get solved, that maybe it's not up to you always. Maybe it's not always up to you or your burden to figure it out. And maybe sometimes when you think you are the one doing it or figuring it out, it isn't always entirely by yourself. Okay? Yeah. I think that's it for me, boys. Messy, unstructured video, most likely. Probably many different topics. But I would really like to hear your guys' thoughts on some of these subjects that I picked today. Maybe it could be about glowing up. Maybe it could be about modern dating. Maybe it could be about spirituality and all that stuff. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And if you have any topics or things you would like me to talk about or discuss in future videos, that would be very much appreciated too. But other than that, guys, have a good day, take care of yourselves, and see you in the next video.